What's going on, everybody? I'm Max Ralph.
Seth Engle.
Penn State just topped Central Michigan 33-14. It's a three-score game, and I mean that's what Penn State should do against Central Michigan, but it wasn't necessarily as impressive a win as it maybe should have been. Seth, quick takeaways here.
So James Frank, he comes into the press room, lists off all the stat categories, whether they won or lost, and he said something that really stuck with me, which is we won all the stat categories, but it didn't feel like we did, and I couldn't agree with that more. That whole game, they come out hot in the first quarter. You think, okay, this game's a blowout. Drew Waller, we're probably going to see in the second quarter, which was originally their plan. Doesn't end up being the case because Central Michigan ends up scoring 14 in the second quarter to tie it up. Penn State, I mean, they come back. I think they made some adjustments in the second half. Waller doesn't come in until the fourth. That's not necessarily, a big win. It's going to be a win in the the standings, but to me, I think there's a lot to work on.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, a win's a win. You're 4-0. You beat the teams you should beat. That's the bottom line. That's the important part. There's more games to play. But I think essentially what happened today, and I tweeted about it during the game, I think Penn State was kind of just playing with its food today. Liam Clifford was in on the third offensive series of the day today. It just it didn't make sense.
Yeah.
I think they were just trying to do too much too early against a team that they could beat very handily. I'm not particularly worried. I think as long as Penn State comes out and has the showing it should have against a pretty bad Northwestern team next week, everything will be smoothed out. But positive takeaways from today. Kaytron Allen was phenomenal. He went over 100 yards and just really his vision with the ball in his hands is just so impressive week in and week out.
Right. Yeah, he's really fun to watch. And today was the day Nick Singleton wasn't necessarily as impressive as he's been the past few games. I think he had 13 carries for about 42 yards. Wasn't his best performance, but Kaytron Allen, carries the bulk of the work. Goes off for over 100. Penn State's now had an 100-yard rusher for 3 straight games, which they didn't have at all last season. So that's a huge positive. Another positive, Brenton Strange is showing up when it matters. We know how good he is as a blocker. Now he's showing up as a pass catcher this year. Had 2 touchdowns today. He's got 3 on the year now. Had 3 all of last season. So you can kind of just see how he's evolving, how he's really becoming more of an all-around tight end. And that offense is, it's taking a next step for sure.
Yeah, I mean, those 2 things, the run game and the tight ends, were things that were supposed to be good last year and weren't, and they've been really good so far this year. And especially I think it's important to point out that Nick Singleton had been so good the past 2 games, and now Kaytron had the day today.
Yeah.
It's like that's something Penn State hasn't had. They've had a starting rusher in the past. Kevon Lee was the guy last year, but they didn't have anybody where if he wasn't on, somebody else could take it over. Right. Kaytron was on today when Nick wasn't, and that was just really huge. And Sean Clifford had a lot of good and bad. He was good on the ends of the game, and I thought looked pretty good. But then in the middle portion, second and third quarters, he wasn't great. He was dealing with a lot of pressure. To be fair, didn't get a lot of help from the offensive line. A few drops from the wide receivers. All in all, it was just a pretty average showing for Sean, and honestly, Penn State as a whole, in my opinion.
Well, he started the game 8 for 8, then he went 7 for 17, and then he finished 7 for 9. It was really weird. He said it himself. He's got to be more consistent. It's really the bottom line, and I think that's, kind of the storyline for this offense moving forward is, okay, how are we going to be consistent with both our pass game and our rush? It can't be one-sided. Kaytron Allen rushed great today. That was there for them, but the pass game wasn't necessarily there the whole game. Clifford was overthrowing a ton of balls.
Yeah.
Aller wasn't great today. Wasn't terrible either. He still came in his 4th straight game in 4 games. So I think there's a lot to like, but there's also a lot to work on.
Yeah, I agree. And as far as Sean goes, he was missing throws that we've seen him make before. So it's just a matter of going out and doing it in a more convincing way next week against Northwestern. But yeah, that's it for us. 33-14 win for Penn State. They're back at Beaver Stadium next week. Keep following along with us online at collegian.psu.edu and on Twitter at PSU Football and at 1-0 Pod. Peace out.